and I'll hand it over to Daniele.
Hello. Okay, let's keep it a bit far away. Thank you, Eleanor, for the lovely introduction. For those who might not know me, my name is Daniel. I am the editorial director of Red Eye. We are a media platform and agency native to the metaverse. We have featured so many of you here, and it's nice that now we are coming together into a new adventure with MoAa, Museum of Artificial Art. This is our first event. It's gonna be worldwide. There are gonna be much more adventures out there. The shop also is live today, so you are able also to collect the pieces that you see. To discover more about the artist, please scan also the QR code, or there is some lovely magazine at the entrance that also has an incredible deep-in features, or you can find more on Red Eye. So we have our first panel here, hosted by Tafari Hines, who is a multidisciplinary creative in the space of AI, fashion, and innovation, and also a senior editor at Red Eye. We have Francesco Disa, who is a great Italian artist with AI as well, and new mediums. And of course, we have the one and only Gloria Maria, who is the founder of Red Eye, but also has a long history as a digital curator. In 2009, she founded Gloria Maria Gallery, which was the first digital art gallery of Italy. So before then, we moved from the analog to the digital by working with top-tier photographers, creative directors, and artists. And we met actually in the metaverse. So it was very fun. We met in the metaverse, and when she launched Red Eye, I came on board, and here we are now. So I'm gonna leave the floor to Tafari. Maybe if you want to introduce also more the artists further, also any of the other artists. And yeah, have fun.
Thank you, Daniele. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. This talk we're doing today is kind of around some of the experts looking at some of the art pieces to kind of really define what some of these stuff mean to us. And so before I open the discussion, I just want to give you a little thought. I think it was the James Webb Telescope. They took a photograph of the sky, just a really tiny part of the sky. And because they were like, it needs to be a dark part of the sky, so, you know, it's all dark, no stars, but it's a tiny patch. And lo and behold, when they zoom in, this dark patch was filled with galaxies and stars, and the whole world can see all the magic that was hidden within this tiny little space. And I hope that this talk could bring some light in this little, in this little spot of the universe. Yes, so today I will, obviously Daniel has introduced Francesco and Gloria Maria. But I will definitely give you both the chance to elaborate a little bit more on what you do in your field and of experts. And at the same time, we're going to be looking at digital nostalgia. Digital nostalgia, what does that mean to you in general sense? In I Miei Ricordi, digital nostalgia is not only recovery of memory, but also speculative remembrance. Emotions attract to memories we never truly had. So just a general perspective from yourself on emotions, a memory we wish we had in digital nostalgia.
Okay, I start. Okay. Hello, everyone. It's nice to be here. I will introduce. Oh, wait. Okay. I try to introduce me a little more. I work as an AI artist, and I teach also AI art in 2 academies here in Italy and one in Barcelona. And I also study from a theoretical point of view, because I studied philosophy. I come from philosophy, not from art. And I study AI and aesthetics with the University of Reggio Emilia. And talking about digital nostalgia and memory, memory is not a part of my own poetic work, but to tell the truth, we have to admit that working with AI is always to work with memory. Because as you know, this generative AI works with a lot of data. And these data are a huge field of artworks, of course, but also photographs and art photographs, but also random photographer, amateurish photographer, and books and text and whatever and whatever. They work with archives. This is probably one of the first time in the history when archives became truly generative without humans behind. Everything is in these huge archives, and when you, AI artists here, work with these softwares, you are working with archives even when you doesn't know it. And this is very interesting because in a broader sense, I believe that art has always been a remix. It's a sort of collective work, not a singular individual personal work. You work always with your memories, but not just your own memories, also the memory of our species, the memory of our culture. And so you mix, with generative AI, you mix your own culture, your own memory, because you are the person who prompt and work with it, but you mix also with unknown memories, unknown culture. Let's say, your colors are not just artworks you know, or maybe you don't know, but also, let's say, the photo of Uncle Pino in a restaurant of 20 years ago, because they used the whole internet to build these softwares. And so I believe, to conclude this, that memory is not just the subject, but it's the material of the AI work.
So is it the algorithm? Is it a bit of both? Like what's really like you said, okay, you know, in this era of the shop, you know, they generate this thing, but because it has the information, but who's really doing, you know, who's really doing it? Is it the artist? Is it the algorithm? Is it the AI? What's really happening?
I will say that everyone is at work. You know, using AI, you see that the tool has an agency. The tool acts a lot, okay? And maybe it's more interesting when it acts really a lot, maybe making hallucination mistakes and so on. So you have to admit that it's a sort of dialogue with the tool, okay? So the answer would be, of course, you are not the only author, you are a co-author with the tool. But if you think about the past, because we usually look at the future without remembering that we have a past to investigate in order to understand the future, and you will see that every tool has an history. Every tool has an agency. There is a very interesting philosopher that is Wilhelm Flusser, that in 1983, if I remember well, wrote about photography, stuff that is perfect for AI. Because he told that when you hold a camera, you work with, his word was apparatus. That means the camera makes a lot of work for you. The cameras decide, and you, this is another term we use, are the functionary of the camera. And this is interesting because when photography was born, there was a debate that is practically the same things about the debate about AI. No? People against photography said, okay, you are not the author, camera makes it all, okay? Because they saw that camera works a lot for you. But now we know that you have to work a lot around and with camera. But this works for every tool. If I go to in the past, also perspective is a tool, because someone discovered these techniques for you if you use it, as Gombrich wrote. So I believe that there is a sort of a collective work behind the art in general, and with AI this is more visible because, okay, AI is really feels so alive sometimes, but also a camera is alive, also a brush is alive, and so on and so on and so on.
Okay, thank you. So thank you for having me. I'm really happy. It's like really nice to be all together. I'm very excited to meet everyone in real life. And so what do I do? Yes, as you guys said, I have been working since the 90s, so it was like really analog times. I also did study philosophy, and I didn't know, that life would take me to fashion and art. I mean, art was part of the family business because my grandfather was a painter. And so I was like always fascinated by see him, creating. But yeah, through time, so I've been working with a lot of photographers, and I understand what you say. I've seen a lot of photographers in action, and of course, like, there's the camera, but we kind of know how the camera works. But we don't know exactly how AI works. So as a matter of fact, there's something that we call the black box. No one knows exactly what it is. So it's not really like, it's technology, but it's something else that we don't know, which is quite fascinating. And then, yes, we have been launching Red Eye as a magazine and as a creative platform to try to give a voice to creators that maybe now they're starting to have more recognition. In the beginning, it was like, what it is and what is the metaverse. So the idea was to try to envision editorial content in a three-dimensional virtual space, and also trying to understand if it is possible to live in a virtual environment and spending a lot of time, like hours on a daily basis in a virtual environment. I have to say, yes, it is possible to live in a virtual environment. It's quite fascinating because it's just like us, it's just like a different perception of space and time, but it's like our mind, our decisions, whatever we want to do. And then we migrated also in exploring more AI. And yeah, so I do other things, but it's not necessary to talk about it. But what it's interesting for me, or I would say the research I like to do, is in what we do not understand. And I love that gap where we don't quite grasp what it's like happening in everything now, but even in photography. Because, maybe, I don't know, there's like, photographers that, would set the tripod and, they understand the shot and then they wait maybe 2 hours before they take the picture. So there's like that moment that it's there and that energy is going, through the film, and then you have this photograph. But it's that specific moment, and we can't really explain what it is. It's just like energy, It's like energy is your intention, is what you put in what you want to do. It's that moment of creation that happens. So I feel that possibly as we have this dialogue with AI prompting, like going back and forth, being, wow, this is amazing. But then there is that moment where you might feel, that's it. Right. That's the moment, And how can you explain that? I mean, no one knows, no? Yeah. It's like what, like something that in Spain, I'm obsessed with the flamenco culture, So, yeah. So in Spain, they say is the duende, So that, like, the duende, because you're, yeah. So that duende, it's something that you can't really explain. It's like very in your guts, it's visceral. It's something that is like an urge you have, and so you decide that's the moment. So I think that with AI is kind of the same. There is, of course, this like moment of co-creation, but then there is that specific moment where you feel, okay, that's it, And then, of course, it's an evolution. The work is a progress. But I really, like in my work, I love that specific moment that we don't understand and makes us special. And it's something that the machine possibly will never really have because it's like really human. It's like specifically human. And maybe that moment is actually a failure because then it's a mistake and we look back at it, it's like, what was I thinking, But it's so nice that we can't really grasp what it is. So yeah, I'm interested in that kind of like spiritual side that comes in, like we were talking about with Ella yesterday night, even like going forward, and having, this like acceleration in digital age, what I feel is the most important is to reground ourselves more. So like, doing a lot of meditation, trying really like to understand our own feelings, how we feel our body, how we feel our energy flowing, because that's something that, however, the machine is synthetic and, we are like flesh and blood. So there's a difference. So also it's like, to me it's wrong when I always like hear about like, artificial intelligence is like mimicking a human intelligence. It's like two different things, It's like I think in a different way from my doggy.
Hold on.
So it's like, I don't understand an ant.
Hold on. I think you said something interesting there, which was the synthetic and the human. Yeah, I really like that. And you said it's not the same, right? Because at the moment, I think we all kind of think, okay, the AI is mimicking the human, or it might take the human job. The artist, the creator, what's going on here? So can you take me back to the black box, and let's look into the black box and see if we can see some light into the human and the synthetic, and maybe you can have a say after on this topic. Yeah, if you want to elaborate a little bit more on that.
Yeah, well, it's our fascination with magic, like since the end of times. It's like this fascination with magic, and even fascination with like intelligence embodied. I mean, like Pinocchio. I mean, it's like, like we have been always fascinated, with this, like, understanding how to like find a mirror, It's like, because we don't know where are we coming from and where we're going. We just don't know, and that's the main question. It's like typically human. And so we are in this search for the unknown, and we're fascinating, and because we have the desire to know more, but possibly we don't. So, it's this like a going back and forth from, our own fascinations, or like even dreams, or like a fear, but it's like very human emotions, which we don't fully grasp. And that black box is like a sort of a mirror of this like urge.
Any thoughts on that?
Yeah. I agree with the mirror idea, because we use machine as a mirrors, but we are sort of cyborgs, as Sarah were told, with machines. And this is interesting because it's not just today, but it's from our ancient past. There is a wonderful book that is one of the most important books in the Chinese culture, that is I Ching. If you don't know, please go and use it. And this I Ching was an oracle, and was a sort of the first ChatGPT in a sense, because you ask something and the answer back, and the answer much better than ChatGPT, to tell the truth, because it works better. And it's also the ancestors of informatics, because it works with these hexagrams that are broken and unbroken lines, and the broken and unbroken lines are a binary system that are the ground of informatics. So we always have this fascinating in order to make things think and answer to our question. And now we managed to make something that it works quite well, and we are not. I believe that we have not to see it as something completely different or something that is like us, because both of these sides are wrong, in my opinion. But it's something that we are with. Okay, because we are with our technology. For example, without my phone, I got lost because my sense of orientation is shit, and I can't even in my own city. So it's dramatic, and this is part of my mind now. There were two philosophers, and then I stop, I swear, that are Chalmers and Clark, that in the 98 made this idea of the mind, but it's not just in our school, in our head, but is extended in the world. It was the extended mind theory, and part of a mind is also a phone, a friend, a book, and so on and so on. So very example was very simple. If there was an Alzheimer man without memory and he used a notebook in order to remember things, and their question was, this notebook is part of his mind or not? And the answer is obviously, yes, it's part of his mind. But now, telephones, smartphones, computers are part of our mind, and now artificial intelligence, that is quite a huge mind, but okay, it's part of our own.
Wow, this is very interesting, and I could go on more into it. Actually, I could go further into it because this is like a new thought, you know, of the mind. I'm walking around with a separate mind in my pocket. It's very good, and also the black box. When I see Joy Fennell artwork, the first one that when you walk in, beautiful. Like it looked like that was a real model sat there. Everything was staged, and you know. And the black box for me is the in between. What's going on before you get to this final end? It's the prompts, it's the mind, it's the imagination, it's the memory. It's just that, you know, and it gets to that point, and it's like, how was that not, you know, a photography in itself? And you know, yeah, this kind of with the black box get me the in between. So yes, it's good. I'd like to go a bit further on into it and look at authorship, collaboration, and distributed creativity. And then I'll also ask Auntie Gloria to give a little bit more perspective of some of the artists and some of the memories and some of the energies you feel from some of them, and you can, you know, voice that. But yeah, I'll just move on to you and just ask a little bit about authorship. The idea that authorship can be shared across systems. How do you experience this in your collaboration with AI, you know, as a professor and a philosopher? And do you see creativity as something that belongs to the artist, the algorithm, or the space in between?
Yeah, I believe, as I told, I believe that creativity is shared. I don't want to bore you too much with this, but there is a psychologist, that is Glavenau, that talk about distributed creativity. That means that we are creative with tools, with other humans, but also with animals, and so on and so on. And the idea is quite simple, because if I remove, let's say, from a painting by Picasso, what is not done by Picasso, I still get no painting, because there is the influence of African art, let's say, the influence of other artists, and so on and so on. There are a lot of causes behind an artwork that are not just the artist. So let's say Picasso, 1,000 years before, it would have never been Cubist, of course, because it was completely impossible. And using AI is interesting, because this is something that I saw also in almost all the artworks here, that you play not just with what you ask to the AI, but with mistakes, errors, they say hallucinations, okay? And this is interesting, because hallucinations are the strong agency of the AI, but it's just the human eye who decide if something that is wrong is really wrong or is good. And this is...
You said that's the human eye, not the AI. That
Yeah,
kind of
no,
saying,
this is our part. This is our part, because we decide at the end. We are the rulers for now of the AI. So, let's say, until now, we decide. And let's say AI makes a lot of mistakes, and you see that one mistake is something that is beautiful, and you decide, okay, maybe this is the right picture. And this happens because error is another word for novelty, for something new. Because something new is something that breaks the canons, okay? And if you break the canons, you make a mistake. But it can be a new mistake. This is how new languages are born. Okay, maybe I invent one word now, and this word sounds cool, and maybe you use it, and later your son or your daughter this is how our language works. And I believe this is how creativity works and art works. Let's say some hallucinations, some mistakes, the machine makes it for technical reason, but the artist decide, wow, this is something new.
So at one point, do you think the AI will allow memory or visibility to be reclaimed or imagined?
I believe we are still the ruler of it. We are a team with AI, so it's a dialogue. So there is no memory, there is no real human memory. There is our common memory in the data, and we play with this data in order to make something new. And this is something that happens also in our brain, because you know, the brain is not a box with memories, it's not an hard drive. When you remember something, you are inventing something every time and every time and every time and every time. So it's something very human to play with memory in order to see something new. These artworks probably are related with the personal memory of the authors, but they are not the real memory of the authors. They are reimagining their memories, and they are sharing their memories in order to connect with other people that maybe find, okay, this is familiar to me. Is how, in my opinion, great artworks works. You see something familiar, even if you doesn't know the artist, doesn't know the media and so on. And this is because memory is shared. Okay, creativity is shared, memory is shared. You can see I'm against the individualistic idea of human beings, but I'm in good company because also Buddhism has a strong philosophy of interconnection. The name is very complicated. It's Pratitya Samutpada, and it means that things exist just in relation. And I agree with Buddha. Okay.
Interesting. It's kind of like, well, I guess, Gloria, if you want to have a little take on authorship as well, you can. Because I remember early on, I think it's 2021, early on, I think we were talking about this to a couple of artists yesterday about the early mid-journey. And I remember when I was just messing around and can't get two pictures together, you know, it was, for me, it's always a human error. This can't be published, sorry. But I remember specifically some of the content that was coming out in the early stages, especially on Red Eye, it felt very 70s. Felt like this, if the 70s had AI, or if they, you know, it kind of like, it wasn't 80s. I guess the girls had these big 1970s hairstyles, you know, flying saucers here or there, but it was colorful, didn't feel like a scary monster or end of the world. And there is some memory in there in terms of like, we're looking back at that time and imagining, you know, space, flying cars and the Jetsons are happening, but it didn't happen. But for some reason, it felt like a collective memory when I see all of that there, you know, in the early Red Eye time. So you were making them, and you were also looking at artists that was making them, and that's how I was able to learn and see. So any perspective on like the authorship and like still keeping it to the memory and looking at like those past times and see the connection. Yeah,
the past times of a few years ago. The past times, it's just like a few months ago. It's true. But maybe it was just because in the very beginning we wanted to have this kind of futuristic, like, you know, aesthetics, and maybe the color palette was also that kind of 70s, it's true. Yeah, I remember, well, even before Mid-Journey, working with guns, you know, it was like really strange. I was fascinated, it was so weird. I remember once we were trying to have some sort of like fashion editorial, it was so off. But then really it's like as if, you know, how the machine is trying to envision what it's in, you know, our prompt. So it's like, you know, like all these memories through the eyes of the machine, and was like still very fascinated. I love to go back and see what we did in the past.
So like now, looking back and see where we are now, what's the gap? Is the black box got bigger?
It's like getting much more complicated. Well, the fact is that now there's a lot of, you know, a lot of idea that we would need to use AI to get perfection, because you know, it's like utilitarian, so with AI we're going to be so fast, we're going to be producing better, but of course from a creativity point of view, that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for something completely different because for us it's inspiration. So it doesn't matter if it's like perfect, because I think that everyone here in this room is like aiming into like a language, and so like imperfection is a part of the discussion. Again, because it's about questioning, not just getting answers. And so we are on a different path. So of course, like, the models are getting more precise, but sometimes people like to work with, past models to get that more like, melting, like weird, like images that we still love, because they're like really a big question mark. So.
Yeah. Wow, and I actually, just by talking to you both, I kind of have different thoughts on the AI in terms of like, it's not going to come and take over my job, because it feels like there is some agency in control from the human perspective, and it's needed, right? It can't just be AI doing everything. There is still a control in the artist going, this final I is going to make the decision. But I don't know if the AI could trick you and say, actually choose mine. I make mine better. But I will give you both the chance to like maybe discuss a couple of the artists and the artwork you've seen in the show, and how did that speak to you? What memories or what emotions or feeling, anything that it brings to you come to mind with some of these great art pieces today. That is all done probably through AI, which is amazing. So yeah, I open the floor to like any perspective on some of the artists that you find fascinating tonight.
Yeah, so I prepared some notes.
Yes.
On paper. And then maybe you tell me, like, we can share also the artists that are here. They can say if we have actually, So this was sort of like a weird memory game. So we're talking about memories. So when I'm looking at the artworks, what kind of memory is just, coming to my mind, but very quickly, without thinking too much, no? And so it can be a song, it can be a book, it can be like, just something, a feeling. So each of you has something else. So Melita, here you are. So when I look at your work, the work that is here, but also your body of work, I think of Siouxsie and the Banshees. And especially Arabian Nights, which is a song that I love a lot, and I love, the lyrics, that the jewel, the price, looking into your eyes, cool pools drawn your mind, what else will you find? So there's something that the rhythm is fantastic of that song. So when I look at the work of Melita, I feel a rhythm, like a lot. So for me, it's like very musical, And then yesterday we were talking, and she said so much important music for her. So I didn't know, But somehow I look at her work, and I have, Siouxsie and the Banshees, which is like, she was great. And Arabian Nights is one of my favorite songs. So yeah.
Good memory.
See, that was like a memory for Melita. Then we have Serifa. Serifa wrote Mirage in the Desert, maybe because also I was into the Banshees, and so I was like still sticking in. But I wrote like a glowing reflections, manifesting secrets, because there's so much about this, glowing energy happening. And so it's like these memories of like a ghostly presence. And so I really had that like really strong feeling of manifesting. And it's so sophisticated, the work, but it's very quiet also at the same time. There's like this quiet, glowing, introspective, like memory, and love, like very much beautiful work. Then we have Parallel, which I don't know if yesterday evening he was here. So for me, Parallel, Christian is very like a Miami disco. So it's like it's oceanfront Miami disco, no doubt. Yeah. And then specifically, there's a song that came to my mind, which is Gloria Estefan and the Miami Sound Machine with conga, because there was a video where she has like all these like amazing, glowing, glittering outfit, and so. But also I wrote Madonna's Material Girl. So, so that very pop, eye-catching. It's like very fun, but also like talking to Christian, it came out a lot about this surface that is like all glittering, but then at the same time it's questioning a lot about the star system and iconic characters, and so it's like it's glittering on the surface, but what lies behind? So there's a lot of questioning in that sense. So a lot of critics. So there's beautiful piece here that make us reflect that way. So it's exactly this like contrast and ongoing dialogue that he has before, between the surface and what lies beneath. But definitely, it's like I love the Miami Disco. Yeah. Then we have like Laura Buchner. I wrote Alexander McQueen in fashion heaven. So if Alexander McQueen is in fashion heaven, that's what he sees, that's what he wants to create, and it's like very beautiful the way we can think about beauty in the future, like a transformative idea of beauty. And like the textures that she's creating. So for me, it's very much in that dreamy world. And actually, one hope I have for fashion is to find again that desire of creating something very special, because we see a lot of the like images, even like commercial images, which are quite all looking the same. So it's not a really good moment for fashion. And I hope that AI is going to trigger that desire again, like trying to really come up with something fresh and new.
Could you elaborate more on that as well? Like, it's not the right time for fashion. This is really, really cool. Because obviously here we have the tools that can do all the creating stuff we want, but yet still it feels not the right time for fashion. Is it fashion? Not is it fashion? What's going on? Why is it?
Well, well, I mean, what I love is that when there is like a uniqueness in what you are creating and producing, so that we don't have to please everyone. We don't have to be there for everyone. So you have to find your own coding, your own system, your own aesthetics, your own message. And you kind of have to stick to that, and then you will find your niche. For me, it's quite impossible to please everyone, So, but as long as you create something with like a deep meaning, and again, there is the need of a message behind, so a reason why you are creating something, then it becomes special. And so with AI, this dialogue we're having, and we see like the body of work that it's even here in the gallery with all the artists, there is a uniqueness, that's your personal touch. And I hope fashion is going to go more back into that kind of uniqueness. So you have your own voice.
It's almost like how all the communities, in the early AI, we heard there might be communities. And I was like, no communities. Not doing it. But then it's like Daniele meet you in the metaverse, or that one is meeting that one in the metaverse. But then they're all different pockets of communities. So you think fashion could reach somewhere where brands could have their own message and it's okay. However, it's out there, you won't please everyone, it's still okay. That's what you're trying to say.
Yeah, but even we had so many subcultures in the past. So if you were punk, you were not a psychobilly. It was different, So, there's very specific, and it was interesting, it was very diverse. So everyone is expressing themselves, and of course, with music and everything, but even aesthetically, the subcultures were quite important. Now, subcultures are digital subcultures, so it's more online when we find creativity that it's explored with this uniqueness. So I really hope AI is going to create new aesthetics and the desire to create more and to find your own tone of voice, and so we need that kind of a fascination. And
Okay, then Dahlia. Dahlia, I wrote Dream in a Space Capsule, and specifically I was thinking about the Tarkovsky Solaris. No, the 1972, because, you know, it's like, I don't know if everyone knows the story, it's like a psychologist that travels and then like finds a planet, and on the planet there is this AI. And as you travel on the planet, you're on the planet, humans get memories and dreams because it's the AI triggering these memories and dreams. And so looking at Daniel's work, that's what I wrote. Also because there's some of that like kind of 70s, you know, like a chromatic palette. And so that's, you know, like Solaris in 1972, so somehow that's the reason why. And, and then like Veronica Mind Eye. I wrote...
Which is this one.
Yeah. I wrote Wim Wenders. There was a beautiful movie, Until the End of the World, of 1991. Yeah, and so, like, of course, it was not like, you know, Hollywood budgets. So you can see that in the movie, but it was like a way to, like, it was really a speculative idea of what would be the future. And so the story, like, to make it very quick, the story is like, you know, this scientist and whose mother is blind. And he's creating a device to capture things happening and like having, you know, his like her daughter talking and like, you know, like people she would love but she can't see. So having a lot of experiences, so it's capturing like real life experiences, and then through this device she is able to see. And so there is like this sort of like a AI technology where she can see again. And so she sees through the memories that he is recording with this device. It's like fascinating. But it's like it's done in a way that it's like, again, there's no special effects. It's done in a, but very interesting. And so these like glitchy memories, these like screens where she attempts to see is like fantastic. So I love it. So I really suggest to watch. Like we can find it online for free somewhere. Sorry, there are many artists. I wrote a lot. Okay, so yes.
I'll let you do a couple more. And then we can.
Okay. Well, so see, because there are many, but then I can share more like privately if you want. Right? But this is like, you know, dye, done by dye.
Yes.
This can be interesting because I also discovered this. Maybe you know it more because you. But I just discovered like recently that Homero wrote in the Iliad, yeah. About Ephesus. Ephesus was the Greek god of fire and technology. And so he writes about these two mechanical like bodies of women, like ancelle, that would move around to help him, and they would talk and be intelligent. And this is like a fascinating, so I just discovered, so I have to go and I want to, so I was like really interested because, again, is this a fascination that has always been there about artificial intelligence embodied in something that, you know, we might, again, answer questions that probably we will never be able to.
You know, you said something very interesting there, which was that a machine, some device allows you to see, right? So I think we were talking earlier on the 5 senses of AI, and you were saying sight was the strongest one, right? Yeah. But now we're hearing this, you know, we hear a deep mind trying to, you know, using technology to go beyond algorithms and go beyond the ChatGPT, but more experience in the world and learned, based on, like, you know, this thought of the machine, you know, allowing us to see, you know, what you think there are more devices coming, or do you think it will be creators who are going to be leading these kind of way? in terms of like what's going on in this black box, you know, like these senses, these motions that, you know, that are coming out, this synthetic energy. Any thoughts on some of these stuff, especially what we were talking about earlier as well?
This is interesting, in my opinion, because you know, with these large language models, you have sort of second-hand knowledge because they doesn't know the word. They know how we speak about the word. So text, images, videos, and so on and so on. So this is very good because they know a lot of stuff we can't manage because they have read a lot of books, much more than us, of course. But they miss some information because we gain a lot of information during our life through senses, as you said, and touch, hearing, and so on. They miss this contact with the word. Of course, this is not a direct contact with the word because the word is a mystery. We just explore it with senses, but we just make an hallucination of the word in order to survive. This is what we do. But in the end, we know a lot of stuff, and what we know, we have sort of, this is a sort of story that we told to our AIs, and the AIs know something through what we understood of the word. So when the AI will start, and of course, as you told, the studies are now in this direction, to get information directly from the word with stuff will be different because they can understand space, they can understand causality, and a lot of stuff that now they are not very good at. This is probably a matter of data. The more data you get, the more you learn and you believe. You know, when we were a child, no one told us the rule of the language. Okay, there was no mommy and daddy, okay, this is the subject, this is the verb, and so on. We learned just with hearing a lot, until we speak mom, dad, whatever is your first word. And this is more or less, of course, in a metaphorical way, how AIs learn, because you give them example. But they have just this second-hand example. So it will be very, very interesting to see what will happen if and when they will manage to get first-hand knowledge of the word. They are trying now with videos and word building, 3D. It seems that they are making stuff in order to let people to make wonderful 3D words and so on, but they are learning how to make stronger machines. So we artists, we take always this stuff from them because, okay, now we can build something very interesting with this 3D AI engine, but they are doing this not for artists, sadly, but in order to make stronger and stronger machines. So I think this is a very interesting field.
I remember you saying that you kind of, I remember you saying you liked the wall. You like this as part of the wall, yes. Do you want to, I didn't press you more, but like briefly, you know, a little bit more perspective on why you like this and, you know, what it's doing for you.
I like every artwork here, to tell the truth, but my favorite part is this part and this one, because they are closer to what I was telling before about the errors and mistakes. I can feel, I can see the mistakes of the AI. I can see how different artists manage to decide that these are not errors, these are my own expression. This is interesting because if you use an AI, it will give you the most probable answer. Okay, this is by both technical and design reasons. Okay, and the most probable, as we told, it's the most boring. Okay, so the most boring, it's not art. Okay, you say this famous AI slope. AI slope is not because AI can't do art, as you can see, but it's because humans are boring usually. We are not. The humanity is not composed by artists. Each one is an artist. Thanks God. So just a few people can manage to tweak the machine in their own direction, and you can feel the difference. You can feel this style is from this artist, this is from another artist. When you see the AI slope, everything is similar, everything is the same, but the AI slope was the human slope in the past, the kitsch paintings, the kitsch photos, and so on and so on. So we humans are boring, we have to admit this. And some human is more interesting than the others, at least when they produce things, and we can look to these artworks. And the most interesting thing, in my opinion, is when I can see, working with AI as well, that an artist managed to work with an AI, and then probably he or she tell, what the fuck is this? And then decide, wow, this is the right direction. And then she or he push in this direction. You can tell me if it's true when you have done it. I can see it. This is yours, right? No, yeah, but okay, you can see it. It's the same. So, in my opinion, this is very interesting because it's both a way to hack the machine, but not refusing or the machine, but also a dialogue. Because you know, technologies are bad, and when I speak about technology, I mean also language, writings, okay, so not just the contemporary one. Technology are dangerous, but they are also interesting if you manage to enjoy your life with them and to find, even in the worst hallucination and mistakes, something that is paradoxically very, very personal. And they managed to do this.
Wow, amazing. I would like to open the floor to maybe 2 questions, because I know we're pushing for time. And you can ask the panel any questions around some of the stuff you heard today. And I must say, I love all the artworks, by the way. I think all of them are amazing, especially Vixie. I really love the silver plant, this kind of collage. You know, it's really cool. This aesthetics is something else, and I do love Joy Fenella. I do love it's insane, and I hope through the black box, and I hope through this, you know, mirror, we can able to see a little bit more light. But yeah, I can open this for 2 questions to the panelists, and then yeah.
Thank you very much. Maybe a question to Francesco. You were mentioning so distributed creativity. So when we work with AI, our art process is distributed creativity shared with AI. And also, yes, so, and it's also, and then art, it has distributed authorship, yeah. Right? And in which case, if it's possible that art made with AI would have, it would belong to AI authorship, if it's possible.
Just to AI, yeah?
Yes. Yeah.
If and when we make something that is completely mad, I will not suggest it, to when we give to the AI an agency. So he, whatever, can do something with his, hers, and blah, blah, own will. Okay. If the tool starts to decide itself, then he can make art. But he can make also things that are pretty dangerous, so I would suggest not giving an agency that is to AI, because we know what can happen with this. We started to use this as tools. They have an agency, but the agency is to satisfy humans, more or less. Even if we ask for something, an AI answer with something completely wrong, but okay, if it is the right mistake, it's fine. But to make art, you have to, you need intentionality, okay? And they have not intentionality so far. And I believe that giving intentionality to something is pretty dangerous. I come back to my Buddhist idea. And for the Buddhist people, desire is the most dangerous thing. And to give desire to an AI, okay, not a good idea, in my opinion. To use AI to satisfy or extinguish our desire in the Buddhism, okay, this is a good idea. So I will tell, okay, maybe probably machine can make art with agency, with intentionality, but let's not give them intentionality.
Any other question?
I agree. Completely.
I think we can close.
Yeah. Okay. So, any final thought? Well, I'll give you both. Like a final thought, you know, as we close, just like on the whole experience, and also really want to thank you as well because you know you really showed some light a little bit more closer to unlocking the black box. And I also like the fact that you know, this unknown is just like science. When science, you know, all of the breakthrough, and then you hit this point where we don't know what's next. And it feels like we are kind of there in AI, and it's still in the early stage or mid, you know, of really what's going on and what's next. Yeah, that's just my perspective. But yeah, I'll give you both like a final, you know, perspective on the whole evening.
Okay, so yeah, really final thoughts is that I enjoyed being here, and we're here all together, and I think we are, as you said, you know, in the middle of something that is accelerating, and it's in the hands of big corporations. So art is still a voice that is a resilience, like a creativity needs to be independent as much as possible. And so we have like a huge responsibility to keep AI a dream, and to keep AI a memory, and to keep AI fascinating and everything beautiful that we want to explore. Or, you know, even going into, someone might want to envision dystopians landscapes or utopians landscape, but always from a very creativity point of view. Yeah, so we have, again, a responsibility to keep it like dreaming, and I don't believe so much in utilitaristic usage of AI pushed to the limit, because we want still to make mistakes. You know, if an AI is going to say, oh, this is the perfect way to do something, maybe not, you know. Even my husband is telling me what to do, you know, and I'm like, no, I want to make it different, you know. So why do I want to have like an AI to give me like perfection? No, like we love, I think, to meet in person. We love to exchange ideas. We love to do mistakes because we learn from it, and that's, you know, part of the process. So I love AI when it's used in a creativity way. And again, we have like a mission to keep it alive that way.
Thank you. Thank you.
I completely agree with Gloria. I can just add that you know, artists are people, are girls and guys who play with the toys, breaking the toys, in order to understand how they work. So keeping on breaking AI, because it's interesting. Thank you.
And on that note, thank you guys, and thank the panelists. Thank you.